Defining the research problem. That is the importance of the subject, the qualification and training of a researcher, the costs involved at the time factor or few other criteria that must also be considered in selecting a problem. Before the final selection of a problem is done, the researcher must ask himself the following questions. That is, whether he is well equipped in terms of his background to carry out research, whether the study falls within the budget he can afford, whether the necessary cooperation can be obtained from those who must participate in research as subjects. So, if the field of inquiry is relatively new and does not have available a set of well-developed techniques, a brief feasibility study must be always undertaken. So, this is very important. Suppose if the researcher have proper knowledge about the topic means or research, or he should not know about his budget or how much of money he can spend, then he don't know how to conduct the research, or even he don't know how much of money he have, or even he don't know how within the time span which is required for the study, automatically the research study will become failure. Next one is, if the field of inquiry relatively new and does not have available a set or well developed techniques, a brief feasibility study must be always be undertaken. Otherwise, you don't have any review of literature or earlier literature you cannot find. So this is what we called as developed techniques. Next one is defining the research problem properly and clearly, crucial part of a research and research study and must be in no case be accomplished hurriedly. So defining a research properly and clearly is crucial part of the research study and must be in no case be accomplished hurriedly. That is, you should take your own time before you are conducting or starting the research. The technique for the purpose involved in undertaking the following steps, generally one after the another. So, statement of the problem in a general way, understanding the nature of the problem, surveying the available literature, developing the ideas through discussions, and rephrasing the research problem into a working proposition. So, this is very important. These are the techniques or general steps to be followed by the researcher before he was conducting the research, because it is a crucial part of research and in no case you should not become hurry. The statement of the problem in a general way. See, modern days, that is, the farmers are conducting or arranging or going through the new strikes all over India about that is new agricultural policy. So suppose you have to conduct a research on this topic, statement of the problem in a general way, you have to conduct that statement of the problem in general way, you have to talk and get that is information from it. Next, understanding the nature of the problem, why the farmers are comes to the road or protesting against the central government, against the new APMC Act or even new agricultural policy. Next, surveying the available literature, what happens before independence and after independence, after the ruling of this present government or present political party headed government. Earlier what happened? Then surveying the available literature. Then developing the ideas through discussions. You have to develop the ideas. Why this present protest is going on against the central government or against the law, or whether it is any biased, or that is, you have to come through or develop the idea through discussion. Rephrasing the research problem into a working proposition. It is very important. That is what the problem you have in your mind. It is not ultimate. You can rephrase the research problem. That is, before you are coming to the final conclusion, you can rephrase the problem by consulting with others. Next, literature review. Once the problem is formulated, the researcher should undertake extensive literature review connected with the problem. Why literature review is necessary? See, assist in refining statement of the problem. This is the major, that is, objective of the literature review, or it is also called as review of literature. Second one is strengthening the argument of selection of a research topic. Here, strengthening the argument of selection of the research topic means why you are selected this topic. This is what we call as justification. Next, third one is it helps to get familiar with various types of methodology that might to be studied in the study or used in the study. See, what are the various types of methodology that might be used? That is what we call as research design. You also make the research design also on the basis of this literature review. It helps to get familiar with various types of methodology that might be used in the study. See, literature review is part and parcel of the research. Otherwise, you cannot get the base for the research. See, literature review is very important. Once the problem is formulated, the researcher should undertake to extensive literature review connected with the problem. See, questions that can be answered by review of literature. While we are go through the review of literature, what are the studies are conducted earlier before you are conducting the survey? What are the surveys are conducted by, or what are the researchers are, that is earlier researchers are made, that is on the basis of primary data or secondary data. You have to go through that. Questions that can be answered. Why a review of literature? What are the major issues and debate about the research problem which are conducted earlier? Second one, are there any gaps in knowledge of the subject? Third one is how can I bridge the gap? That is what is called as research gap. Fourth one is whether the research question already has been answered by someone else. It is also there. Suppose you taken the one problem, problems and prospectus of coffee growers with special reference to Chikmagalur district means same topic of research is conducted by anyone else. But you can also do that. Why? Because that is the data and interpretation which was done by your earlier researcher is completely depend upon the data which are available present and your interpretation. So the interpretation of the depends upon the researchers or researchers' knowledge. Next, what is the chronology of the development of knowledge about my research problem? What are the key theories, concepts and ideas known about the subject? See, these are all the questions to be answered. What directions, methods are indicated by work of other researchers? See, sometimes the same problem that is looked by or perceived by different person in their different perception. See, in Karnataka or all around the country, see some of the farmers are committing suicide. See, these farmers are committing suicide because of number of reasons. But some of the that is the protesters or the leaders who belongs to some of the political party, or even some of the people who are in farmers movement, they says the farmers are committing suicide due to that is non-payment of their loan, or that is pressures, or that is the forces some of the that is the pressure given by the banks and other financial institutions. They are always giving trouble to the farmer. That's why they are committing the suicide. So some of the argument that is they are not getting the minimum support price, or they are not better price for that product. Sometimes they are exploited by the middleman. Sometimes they are that is by or hurdles by the monsoon. See, some of them said they are committing the suicide due to personal problems or family problems. See, these are all the different ways or biases the people have. See, these type of questions that can be answered by review of literature, that is the indications or perception of the people is differ from one person to another person. These type of perceptions are to be studied and come to the conclusion that on the basis of the literature review. See, these are all the things we have to decide. That is, these are called as issues and debate about the research problem. Whether it is, that is sometimes some of the topics which are against to our national interest. you cannot conduct the survey. For example, the number of that is protested undertaken by that is our Pakistan sponsored terrorists in are doing something against to our country, that is our sovereignty, that is in Jammu Kashmir. We cannot conduct a survey on in favor of those terrorists or that is the people who are called as separatisms or separatists. See, these are all the topics which are against to the national interest. We cannot conduct a survey. We have to leave that problem and we will select the problem which have genuine in nature as well as it will helpful to the people. Next one, literature review. That is, what are the literature review we have? That is sources of literature where you can get the research. See, from books, that is the books also they can classify into three types: textbooks, monographs, edited collection, journal articles, academic journals as well as conference proceedings, indexing and abstracting the journal search engines like PubMed and Google Scholar, past dissertations which are conducted the survey, that is the dissertations submitted by the PhD scholars or MPhil scholars or by the students who are conducted the survey, vital statistics like census, government records, surveillance system, surveys, then international organization documents like WHO, UNICEF, and medias like newspaper, magazines, or in TV channels, or even also internet or with social media. You can get the sources of research or sources of literature. See, these are all the sources you can get from, that is, these are all comes under secondary data, that is books, vital statistics, journal articles, international organization documents, indexing and abstracting journal and research engines, past dissertations, media, and internet. Literature review, finding too much. If you find so many citations that there is no end in sight to the number of references, you could see it must be reevaluate your question. It is too broad, nothing much to explore. Again, finding too little. On the other hand, if you can't find much of anything, ask yourself if you are looking in the right area. Take thorough notes. Be sure to write copious notes on everything as you proceed through your research. It is very frustrating when you can't find a reference found earlier that now you want to read in full. Look for reference to papers from which you can identify the most useful journals. Identify those authors who seem to be important in your subject area. So these are all the things you have to go through the literature review. Suppose you find too much, it is very difficult or nothing else to study. If you find too little, you can have plenty of opportunities for the research. While you are going through the research, you should take the notes. Proceed through your research. It's very, very frustrating when you can't find a reference. That is, again, you have to go through you have to take out the pages. Again, look for reference to papers from which you can identify the most useful journals. It is very important to identify those authors who seem to be important in your particular subject or area. So, these are all the important things. Institutional library serves as a great source of literature review. Talk to the librarian for the great insight on the number of journals available either as hard copy or online subscription. See, these are all the things you have to go through the literature review. At the time, it will help the researcher to get the things good. So, you will continue in the next class. Thank you.